Becoming a grandparent is one of the best things that can happen to you. It's like experiencing the joy of being a parent all over again, this time without the sleepless nights and responsibility. But as I know only too well, events can take a very unexpected turn. When I lost my daughter Karen to breast cancer, I felt a real responsibility to care for her two little boys in any way I could. And for a few months after she died, they lived with me. Now, the boys were fortunate enough to still have a wonderful hands-on father, but some of us grandparents can suddenly find ourselves later on in life having to step in and become a full-time carer again, with everything that entails. Pat and her husband Ivor were delighted when they became grandparents.
It was one of the special days, that was, yeah.
You can spoil them, you can have all the fun without the discipline, and just have a great time with them.
But when their grandchildren were still young, tragedy struck. David and Holly's dad was diagnosed with a brain tumour.
John died when Holly was about 18 months, and things just deteriorated from then, really. That's when David came to live with us more or less full time, and then we took over looking after both of them.
The children's mum suffered from severe depression triggered by the grief and hasn't recovered enough to look after them again. Adjusting to the huge changes in their lives was very hard for all the family.
With David, when he first came, he was very withdrawn, and also Holly, she wanted to be with her mum. It's very difficult, it's a long road.
And taking on the responsibilities of parenthood has had other consequences too.
Before we had the children, we were living quite comfortably on our pensions, and we did find it quite a shock when we had to look after two children with all the expenses. We were using our savings to cope.
So despite being in his 80s, Ivor had to carry on running the village shop.
Once your savings start going, there's not anything there to rely on later in life, is there?
I think sometimes Grandad should not be in the shop as much and spending a bit more time over here and calm down a bit.
My fear that we won't live long enough to see them through, it is a big worry. All I want is them to be happy and to live a useful, happy life.
All sorts of people find themselves stepping in to become a grandparent carer. And believe it or not, there are 200,000 grandparents and family carers in the UK, raising nearly 300,000 children. And each of these families will have their own tragedy or turmoil to cope with. And it's very natural to feel out of your depth and alone. But there is a charity that can help. Grandparents Plus. They advise and support grandparents and other family members when they take on the caring role in difficult circumstances, and they really need your help. Janellen was in her mid-40s when she discovered she was to become a grandparent. She was concerned to hear the news because both her son and his girlfriend have learning difficulties.
I was incredibly worried about how my son and his girlfriend could cope with a young baby.
When their attempts to look after their baby Finlay failed, Janellen fought to keep her grandson out of care.
We had no hesitation. We couldn't envisage him being adopted. The decision was easy, the consequences are not.
Soon Finlay was followed by baby twin sisters Lily and Chloe. Janellen and her husband's lives were turned upside down.
It's hard being an older mum. It's hard going to playgroup and being possibly the oldest person there. We felt that we were the only ones that were going through this process. It was lonely, it was isolating. We had no one to talk to.
You want a cuddle? Would you like carrot cake? Would you like lemon drizzle cake?
Fortunately, Janellen heard about the Grandparents Plus support network that helps over 6,000 people right across the country. Through them, she's now in touch with other grandparents in the local area who meet up every month. They're a vital source of friendship and understanding.
You suddenly realise that there's hundreds of other people like you going through the same things. Being able to share what you're going through, you don't have to feel that you're the only one struggling with these problems.
You've been a cheeky boy.
Getting the right kind of help is really important when you think that 7 out of 10 carers in Janella's position suffer from stress, depression and isolation. And Grandparents Plus doesn't just offer emotional support. They also offer a confidential advice line for grandparents to assist with really important practical questions about getting financial help, housing and guidance about legal issues.
Hello, Grandparents Plus, Jo speaking.
Pat phoned for advice about how to gain the legal right to take decisions on the children's behalf.
I didn't realise how important it was until it was explained to me that the seriousness of should the children need an operation or should need special care or anything serious happened, we wouldn't be in a position to give permission.
Pat's advisor talked her through the legal options, and they've now obtained the authority they need.
It does give one a peace of mind that we have got a responsibility should it be needed.
Now, you might think that family members who step in to care for children are automatically supported by the authorities. However, that isn't so. Pat and Ivor were exhausting their savings, but their Grandparents Plus advisor was also able to guide them towards vital sources of financial help.
There was many benefits that she explained we may be entitled to and where to go for help. It was a great relief, really, and I have used and I have telephoned her on several occasions since for advice. It's very good to know they exist.
And taking as much of the stress and worry out of the situation as possible has been great for the kids as well.
I'm glad I'm here. I feel happy.
I've lived here for ages. I like it. It's really nice.
And with support from Grandparents Plus, Janellen is also feeling more confident about the future.
If they weren't there, I could quite possibly become a blob on the floor because I wouldn't know where to go. I wouldn't have someone to call up and say, could you just help me out on this issue? Or actually, I think I need to cry right now. Grandparents Plus hold me together without knowing it.
Grandparents Plus were there for these two families when they needed them most, but they really need your help to keep more children together with those who love them the most. With your support, they could reach many more families right around the country who need their help. So please give generously if you can. To donate, go to the website at bbc.co.uk/lifeline. And if you haven't got internet access, please call 0800 011 011. Telephone calls are free from most landlines. Some networks and mobile operators will charge for these calls. You can also donate £10 by texting support to 70121. Text costs £10 plus your standard network message charge. And the whole £10 goes to Grandparents Plus. Full terms and conditions can be found at bbc.co.uk/lifeline. Or if you'd like to post a donation, please make your cheque payable to Grandparents Plus and send it to Free Post, BBC Lifeline Appeal, writing Grandparents Plus on the back of the envelope. And if you want the charity to claim gift aid on your donation, please include an email or postal address so that they can send you a gift aid form. Thank you so much for your support.